Hi, this is Jamison. I'm here with the creators of The Fold, Ray Sawhill, Frost and Matt Lambert. How's it going, guys?
It's going great. Having a ball.
So who wants to tell me about the genesis of the concept?
Matt, take it away.
Well, actually, when I first met Polly, we just started talking about movies, and we were into a lot of the same crazy stuff. Takashi Miike and Roger Corman. She gave me some of her work to read, and it was absolutely amazing. So we decided this was sort of most of the webcomic you were seeing at this point was a lot of sketch comedy, which was great, and like some short form stuff, but nothing that was really developed, and nothing that had that kind of exploitation midnight vibe that we really liked.
When was this?
This was about 2 years ago. About 2 years ago when we first started talking about it. So the three of us got together and sat down and just started throwing out some of the craziest ideas we could think of and leaving them all in. And I just went out and did it.
I don't think it's disgraceful to note that we drank a lot of beer and wine as we jammed.
I think that's obvious.
We had a great time.
And why was it that what's the end game here, and why is the web kind of the first step?
I think it's not even necessarily the first step. I think it could be the following steps as well. What's kind of nice is, for one thing, I mean, everybody knows the amount of control you have over your material, obviously. It's like phenomenal. I mean, just being able to come up with your own ideas and just decide what you want to see. And there are people out there who, want to see the exact same material.
One of the things that struck all of us as well, even as long ago as 2 years ago, was that the web really was the new grindhouse. It really was the new distribution channel.
Right.
Where you could be free, you could be crazy, you could be low budget, you could take some chances. And so since all of us like softcore and all of us like exploitation and art movies, that whole combination, I think it came to us rather naturally to think in terms of devising this whole thing specifically for the web. We talked a bit about doing it as a movie, but this is not a great time really for movies of that ilk, where you're walking the line between exploitation and art.
Right.
So we just thought, let's conceive it in terms of a web series. Let's think in terms of short segments, arcs, characters, design, but actually design it for people sitting at their computers.
Do you want to comment?
Yeah, one of the things that's been really great for us is to get the response from people who are just saying, we've been waiting for this. We've been just so tired of mall movies. I mean, people people who are saying, thank God, it's like it's a real movie with some like real sex in it, and it's like, that is exactly what we wanted. And we're just like actually amazed that these reviewers are getting what we were trying to do. We wanted to make Barbarella. We wanted to make, which is Roger Vadim movie from 1968 with Jane Fonda. And we wanted to make that kind of movie, and it's fantastic. I think that people are picking up on what we're doing and getting it.
Yeah, it was an interesting time in movies. I mean, supposedly the alternative to the big mall movie is the indie movie, but the indies have kind of dried up in recent years, and they were never terribly oriented towards sex or towards art. They were really more like first novels often, and we wanted to do something more outrageous and more fun and more rock and roll.
What is it about sex that specifically kind of draws you?
Well,
I mean, I guess that's an obvious question, but
it doesn't draw you.
But I mean, why was that?
It's really hard.
Your book as well.
Yeah. Well, I wrote a book called Deep Inside, which is
professional erotica writer.
Huh.
I guess I am. Yeah, which is it's 10 stories of horror and erotica and sci-fi, and I'm really fascinated by Japanese anime and by 70s exploitation movies where you have the sex and you have but it's not porn, but it's still there in it, and I think that's what art should do and movies should do. They should really challenge you.
But that's actually, the stories from your book are what, that was the first things I read were the stories that you sent me from that book, and that's what made me think, like, I really need to work with you guys on this, on just something, because that's the kind of material I've always loved. It's so over the top, and the sex is part of that. I mean, when you just have this sort of like crazy sex romp world, it just automatically it gets a little hyper real. But I like the way the material sort of treated. You sort of make things as crazy and outrageous as possible, and then try to deliver it as sincerely as you can without like sort of winking and without sort of delving into self-parody right away. It's just like, this is a crazy world, and these are the characters that are stuck in it.
Oh, I just wanted to add that, I mean, if
sex is a topic
we'll talk about it forever, yeah. Well, I think honestly, sex is one of the reasons people are interested in the arts, and it's kind of dried up a little recently. It's this odd thing has happened where there's mainstream stuff and then there's porn, and that leaves a huge gap in the middle. And I think the huge gap in the middle is what a lot of people are genuinely into the arts for. Rock and roll isn't just like a heavy beat; it's also a sexy life. It's a sexy evening out. The kinds of movies I think that the three of us jammed on that we connected over initially are movies that they're high and low. I mean, they bring it all together. They don't dodge it. And that was our inspiration. And it just seemed to us that the web thing could almost be like, the early days of the new web, the new wave. It could be the American movies in the 70s. Sure. Move in there, take it over, take advantage of it, and take some chances.
I really think this is the moment for web series. I think it's genuinely like we're going to see what you saw with the French New Wave and what you saw with like the 70s movies, and this is where it's going to be. And to work with Matt, who to me is like a combination of, I always say Takashi Miike and Trey Parker. I think that's like
That's just the hair
but the hair counts.
I mean, it's just so fantastic to be in right now. I think web series are really, really exciting. I think that's why people are really tuning into them, don't you?
Anything else that we should talk about or mention?
We would love to meet more of the people in the New York community.
Yeah.
Come meet us at the Fold. And we'd love to know more of the people who are involved in it because
it's an exciting time. I mean, for the last year pulling this together, we didn't have a whole lot of time to socialize in a lot of ways. Now that we're finally getting a chance to put it out there in the public, we're waking up into a world that's slightly different than it was a year ago.
Cool.
That's a very exciting moment.
Great. Anything? That's it?
Hope you guys are enjoying the Fold as much as